What is the role of religion in our ever-changing world? From the News Channel 5 network, this is Issues of Faith.
Hello, everyone, and welcome. I am Ben Hall. Our topic today, the conflict between science and religion, between science and faith. And why do so many people who embrace science reject religion? We'll be talking to someone today who has made the journey from atheist to Christian. And how did that happen? We're happy to have with us Dr. Ming Wang. Dr. Wang, thank you for being here.
Thank you, Ben.
So that question, why is it that it is so common, in your opinion, for people of science or even highly educated people to reject faith? What do you think?
I think it's a natural human tendency as we gain more knowledge and make discoveries about nature. We tend to rationalize more and more and think that we are in control and we understand everything. But the fact of the matter is, the more science that I've studied, in many ways, more unknowns I have. And for example, when I studied the structure of human eyes, I found that the structure is so complex that the number of neurons in one person's head is greater than the number of stars ever discovered in the entire universe. So to think about all these complex neuronal connections for visual interpretation can evolve out of random without purpose is hard to believe.
And you began your studies as an atheist. Mm-hmm. You were an atheist. What made you change?
I came to this country as an atheist. I survived China's Cultural Revolution, the Communist prosecution, came to this country with $50 many years ago. So I came here to study science. As the movie God's Not Dead, there was a character in there which is inspired by my life story. And I came to faith because I found some of the answers that I was trying to find in life. I did not find in science alone. As I said, the complex structure of human eyes, the visual interpretation, it would have taken, I calculated, it would have taken trillions of years for such a complex structure as human eye to form out of randomness. So that's where my previous atheist belief based on science alone came into crisis. And right around that time, a professor at Harvard actually influenced me and showed me the way and basically said, life at the end, it's not just about science. It's not just about faith. It's about science and faith together. It's almost like the two sides of the same coin.
And your story is remarkable. You talk about Harvard, highly educated, Cultural Revolution. You come here from China as an atheist, not exposed to Christianity. Your parents certainly weren't Christian. Mm-hmm. What is their view of your Christianity now?
Well, they are more receptive now as the movie God's Not Dead 1 and 2 depicted, and they were initially very, against it. And so at the moment, they look at me and say, well, okay, our son became a Christian, did not turn out to be too bad. So, I think that's the power of being a Christian, is through your own action, through your own behavior, trying to help others, trying to be a good citizen, and it's good son. I actually moved them in. They're 80 and 83. I moved both of them to live with me 6 months ago for the rest of their lives. So I think I'm doing my part as a good son, and they see that Christian faith has positively influenced me, my life.
Does it concern you that so many people of science do reject religion? And what do we do about it?
I think, how it's interesting that when you see a great mathematician, you will say, he's such a great mathematician or engineer, he's almost like an artist. But you don't see the comment on the opposite way. What I mean is that the intuition, emotion, faith, intangibles lies in the highest level of human achievement. And the engineering, mathematical facts are secondary. So what I'm trying to say is that we have to show you could be a better scientist, better engineer, better mathematician if not only you master the science, but also you understand some of the purpose in life and see the inner connections, purpose of life itself. You can be a better scientist, better mathematicians. I always say science is about what things are. Faith is about why things are.
And it's so interesting that your education brought you to Christianity. Mm-hmm. And we don't see that often, but I think that's so interesting. And so there is a character in a movie, God's Not Dead. It's a very popular movie. There's been God's Not Dead 1, now God's Not Dead 2.
Yes.
We have the trailer from it, but you've mentioned it a couple of times. Before we see the trailer, set up what we're going to see and how there is a character based on you in that movie.
Yes. The movie was inspired by the book of the same title, God's Not Dead, written by Dr. Rice Brooks, and part of my life story is in the original book. And when inspired the movie, and my character stay on. And in this movie, you will see this Chinese student who came from mainland China, came to America to study science. And he was then influenced by Christian faith. And there was a debate in the classroom whether God does exist or not, examining the issue based on scientific facts, cosmology and biology and astronomy and physics. So the conclusion of that movie is, at the end, even if you look at those scientific evidence, there's undisputable evidence supporting the existence of God. And such as Big Bang, at the moment of the beginning of history, there's so many matters can evolve and come into being in such a short period of time, and split a second. And no physics law can ever, be able to explain that.
Well, let's take a look. Let's take a look at the trailer for the movie, then we'll come back and talk about it some more. Here is the trailer for God's Not Dead 2.
To forget that the most basic human right of all is the right to believe.
No prayers, no moments of silence, nothing.
Think of the other children out there who are subjected to their repressive belief system.
If we sit by and do nothing, the pressure that we're feeling today will mean persecution tomorrow. We're at war.
What makes nonviolence so radical is its unwavering commitment to a nonviolent approach.
Isn't that sort of like what Jesus meant when he said that we should love our enemies?
Yes, you have heard it said, love your neighbor and hate your enemy. But I tell you, love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you.
One of your students sent a text to their parents. Did this happen?
If you're asking whether I responded to a student's question, yes.
And your answer incorporated the words of Jesus.
What were you thinking, Grace?
The Thales are asking that you be fired, plus revocation of your teaching certificate.
How do we make this go away and not get blood on our hands?
We let the ACLU do it.
We're going to prove once and for all that God is dead.
No order in the matter of Thawley versus Wesley.
Mr. Kane will insist faith isn't on trial here. But that is exactly what is on trial.
You're looking to prove that Jesus Christ existed? Oh, that's ridiculous. I hate what people like your clients stand for and what they're doing to our society.
You're under arrest.
These people, they're looking to destroy you.
Everyone's telling me to stay out of it. What is your heart telling you to do?
I would rather stand with God and be judged by the world than stand with the world and be judged by God. I am not going to be afraid to say the name Jesus.
If we're going to insist that a Christian's right to believe is subordinate to all other rights, then it's not a right.
You are out of order. I charge you with contempt.
I accept the charge because I have nothing but contempt for these proceedings.
God's not dead, he's surely alive.
So that's the trailer. What did you want to say about that?
Yes, that's the trailer of God's Not Dead number 2. And actually, that in the second one, you see a few flashes of this Chinese Asian student. That was character based on my life story. This 2 extended from God's Not Dead number 1. This 2 is about outside the classroom, what's the bigger society issues? Where do we draw the line in the public education? Can we talk about God? Where is the faith and belief in the public setting? So which is a very important issue in our society
When
today.
I look at that trailer, and I haven't seen the movie, but when I look at that trailer, it looks like the theory is that it's not okay to talk about God, and that institutions in our society are against that. Do you believe that, or what do you think?
I feel it's a balance issue. It's not a simple issue because on one hand, we as a Christian, I would like to stay in my faith as much as I can, even in public settings. And for example, all my patients have done surgeries. I pray with all my patients. I feel at the moment of vulnerability, that the moment that needs focus, needs humbleness, needs modesty, needs dedication. That praying with God and help us focus together, we do a good job for the patient's eye surgeries. So that's why every patient I have done surgeries, I pray with them. And it helps in the setting. But at the same time, I usually ask my patient, I say, you know, is it okay for us to pray? Because I have to be also sensitive to the fact that many are not Christians, different beliefs. I feel all people are equal. You know, they get the right to believe what they believe. And as a Christian, that we want to influence them not through over-preaching, but through our own action, that we can do good deeds as a citizen of the world. And in this case, I get the patient's permission, it's okay to pray. And then almost always they say, yes, Dr. Wang, I appreciate you will spend time and slow down and help me focus and relieve my anxiety. So I think it's a balance issue. We have to be sensitive to the faith, beliefs and the rights of folks with different beliefs and ethnicities and cultures. But at the same time, we should not be afraid of stand up to say what each of us believe ourselves.
When I opened the show, I talked about the conflict between faith and science, faith and education in some cases. Where do you think we're headed? Where do you think this takes us?
The world today is a very troubled place. There are violence, there's corruptions, and there are immoralities, and much of that has to do with the increasing development of the pace of development of science and technology and material wealth. When humans are faced with more material wealth, one is tempted to corrupt. And I do believe that without faith, you can never hire enough policemen. So we need better legal systems to safeguard against the corruptions, but at the same time, we have to also build our faith foundation in each of us. For me, it's a Christian faith, but in another person could be different faith and beliefs, but believing something. Believe in the fact that even no other human being is watching this person, a creator, a God is. So that will bring a bit more sense of accountability, more honesty, and that will help the society grow. I do truly believe that if we forget about faith and ignore the fact that human beings, we are mortal beings and there are immortal creators who dictates our lives and we should be held accountable to him. If we don't follow that, let that be a big part of our lives, then society may degenerate into a society that focuses exclusively on material wealth, on money, on things. And
well, because as we learn more and as we gain more material wealth, it's easier to think that we are in charge of ourselves,
right.
that we are responsible for our good fortune and that we know it all, I guess. And that's when we move away. Is that what you're saying?
That's right. Yes, I think a healthy dose of modesty and humbleness about knowing our own limitations is very helpful as human beings. For example, in eye surgery, despite all the technologies we have, before each eye surgery, I always have to remind myself that no matter how much I know, there's always a chance for mistake. So be humble, admitting we have limitations. We need God to help guide us and makes a better human being, not worse.
All right, we have to take a break. We'll come back. We have more to discuss here. We'll take a break, come back, continue our discussion. Be back right after this. Welcome back to Issues of Faith. We're talking with Dr. Ming Wang, talking about the conflict between science and faith, science and religion, and Dr. Ming Wang's journey from being an atheist to a Christian. And one of those conflicts involves modern technology and then Christian morals. And the use of fetal tissue has become a big point in that debate. What are your thoughts on that?
The conflict between faith and science is one of the major issues of our society today. With the development of science and technology, we can ever treat a more and more severe and more aging human conditions, such as macular degeneration, Alzheimer's disease, and dementia, and Parkinson's. But the treatment for these aging conditions, we have shown in medicine that need to use young tissue, such as fetal tissue. And that's where the conflict is. Should we do fetal tissue research or not? If we say yes to treat aging diseases, how can we justify hurting a baby alive? If we don't use fetal tissue, how can we justify watching grandma losing sight, become blind, suffering from aging conditions, in this case macular degeneration, for which the only treatment has to come from use of young tissue?
Is there a way to do it without hurting a young live baby? I mean, that sounds unacceptable.
Yeah.
Is there a way to do it that would answer the concerns on both sides?
And I brought a copy of my biography, From Darkness to Sight, and detail that journey, a 20-year journey in that regard. I started out by looking at these patients who suffer from injury and would like to treat them, reduce their scarring, preserving their vision. But at the same time, I realized that the only way to understand the research is using fetal tissue. Young people heal faster, better, without scar. So the book started out by that question, but at the same time, I became a Christian already at that moment. I did not want to affect the baby because life is sacred, as Bible says. So I was in that turmoil. I was struggling, and where is the solution when science and faith conflicts? And this book talks about my 20-year journey in this regard. Eventually, fortunately, I did not give up. I persisted, continued, believed that God will give us a solution to advance science without compromising our moral, ethical faith principles. So I continued on, and we stumbled upon this amniotic membrane. It's a piece of tissue that covers an unborn child. And I start transplanting, this placenta is donated by mother after giving birth to a child. We get the placenta donation, and we bioengineer the placenta amniotic membrane into placenta contact lenses, and then put on patient's eyes to help heal the eye. So after the placenta membrane is removed, we see an eye that can heal without scar, just like a baby.
So this is the answer in a sense. I mean, you don't have to. You don't have to violate Christian principles here. Again, you can do what is right and not violate these, not harm a newborn. I mean, that would be unacceptable. So there is a way here. There's an answer. And some could say it's provided by science, provided by education. Others could say it's provided by God, I guess.
Yes, I believe we say research. Research is re-search. Research was God's original creation. God gave us the opportunity to discover part of His original creation. In this case, the amniotic membrane, we did not create this placenta. God has it there all along. But so the faith play a part, that the persistence, the tenacity, don't give up. Truthfully believe God will have a solution for us to advance science without compromising our moral, ethical principles. And the science at the same time give us that tool. So it is the combination of science and faith will make us more powerful human beings. It's like 1 + 1 more than 2, not equal to, more than 2. So this amniotic membrane contact lens now is available now, after 20 years of research that I talk about in my biography, From Darkness to Sight. And now it's available. It's been used by over 1,000 surgeons worldwide. And countless number of patients have their sight restored with the placenta amniotic membrane contact lens.
So the two can coexist, science
can coexist, yes.
And so when you hear someone reject the Big Bang Theory because they are Christian, in your opinion, can those two coexist? In other words, could God be responsible for the Big Bang that created the world? Is it either or do you think there is more of there is some common ground here?
Yes, I truly believe in common ground. For example, one of the biggest debate is creation versus evolution. And the two camps are very polarized. If you believe in evolution, you don't believe anything creation, or vice versa, the other way. And I think human society can be more further progressed, not by polarization, but by depolarization or coming together to identify the common ground. It's almost like our political system in this country. The Democratic and Republican Party just want to, like, eye-staring contest. Who blinks, they'd rather shut down the whole government rather than give out any territory politically. So that's not healthy. But the better way of living is to recognize these two viewpoints, the science and faith, recognize they are the coins, the two different sides of the same coin. Science is about what things are, faith is about why things are. In this case, I do believe that creation sets in motion, God sets in motion the creation of human beings and all these different species. But at the same time, God gives us the opportunity to make decisions. We can make good or bad decisions. And so we do have some sense of control in our lives. We are responsible for our own behavior. In that case, a species adapt to the environment to survive. So in a way, the evolution sets in motion, but the creation sets in motion, but evolution, they adapt species in a more local scale. So both can exist.
Both can exist. So when you talk to another scientist who says, nope, don't believe in religion, that's not for me, in fact, it's just wrong, what kind of conversation do you have? Do you have those kind of conversations?
Yes.
Do you encounter
all the time
people of that view?
Yes.
What happens?
I give a lecture called Faith on Science, Friends or Foes. And I particularly enjoy lecturing to, secular schools and professors and students who are not necessarily Christians. I particularly love to talk about my Christian faith in front of folks with other beliefs. I do believe that world is increasing diverse world, that we do all need to respect the way everybody says, rather than imposing our own viewpoints. So I love those challenges. And for example, scientists and doctors and engineers and mathematicians, after hearing my lecture, always raise that question, say, why I could be just a good scientist or mathematician without knowing Jesus Christ. And my answer is, as I said earlier, a good mathematician, but you can be a great one, that if you incorporate the purpose of life, the intuition, the imagination, the emotion, the intangibles. Faith offers those intangibles, or science offers the tangibles. It is the combination of the two make you a better human being. Just like you cannot just work with your left brain, or you can work just your right brain. One's a logic, one's a mathematical, one is artistic, but it is the combining the two. The left and right work together, make you a better human being.
Make you a better human being, and it makes you happier.
Yes.
And that's been proven.
Yes.
I want to thank you, Dr. Ming Wang. Thank you for being with us.
You're
Very
welcome.
interesting discussion.
Thank
I want to
you.
thank all of you for watching Issues of Faith. Have a great day, everybody.